Right, what we're doing today, we're going to attempt, I say attempt because the washing machine is basically rendered useless because the bearing's gone on it. Very noisy, so it would be off to the skips, but I'm going to have a go at repairing it. Looked on YouTube and it looks, there's quite a lot of strip down to do on it, but obviously it's worth a go. Bearings will be £30–40 and the washing machine is not that old. It's only about 8 years old, 9 years old maybe, so it's worth a go. Now, one drawback I've looked at, seen on YouTube, is that once you get it stripped apart, the drum, basically the casing, the outer casing of that drum, some are sealed, so it's a case of cutting it in half to get to the bearing, and some are screwed or bolted together. Obviously I'm hoping this is screwed, bolted together, but either way we'll have a go and get into it. I'm just going to do a run on it, a brief spin on it, just to show you how noisy it is. There we go. Still not up to anywhere near full speed. I don't know whether you can hear me or not, but that's very noisy, is that. Okay, that's the top off. It's just held in with 2 screws there and there. Now what we're looking at getting out next, from what I can gather, this device, that's the soap dispenser. So we'll have a look at that. There's some plugs to unplug, I dare say, and away we go. Okay, soap dispenser's nearly off. We've just got to, I presume, there's like, you can see that rubber strap there, that'll just unstrap and it'll just pull off. So we're virtually off. A couple of screws. There's 2 screws there at the front, which you access by taking the drawer out, the soap drawer, and those 2 screws there. Okay, that's the soap dispenser drawer out. A little bit tight on that rubber hose there, but yeah, we're off. And obviously it's a bit gunky in there, so we'll give that a real good clean out before it's put back on. I'm now just taking the counterbalance weight off the top, and that's held in with 3 10mm bolts. Okay, we've now took the seal off, which basically the door seal, and that's just held on by that spring. It's a complete, they varied of these by the looks of it, but this is just a complete spring that goes around the whole of that seal, and it's just a case of just gently prising it off. Okay, we've now took the access cover off to get to the belt what drives the drum onto the motor, and that'll just be a case of freeing that off the motor. And another thing what you can do obviously is, just so you get the right screws back in place, I just stick them back in, you know, so far, so I know where they go. Depends how good your memory is basically, but just makes it a bit easier. So let's get that belt off. Right, that's the belt off, and what we can demonstrate now is just by giving that a spin look. You listen. Certainly one noisy bearing is that. Right, what I've done now, put the washer on its side, and I think what we've got to do now is disconnect that hose from the pump. There's a ram there, so I'm just going to disconnect it there, and I might have to take that weight off. I don't know, maybe be easier to take it out probably, but I'm trying not to strip off as much, you know, just take off basically what I need, so just to get that drum out. Also, there's that one, basically that strut that you can see there. There's another one here, so that needs taking off as well. Right, we've took that counterbalance weight off from in there. It was sat on the front of there basically. I'm finding it difficult to get the front of the washer off. Did I say if the front of the washer was off, that would come off easier, but anyway, I've managed to get it off that way, and I'm now just taking the motor off and the wires to it, and the wires to the I think that's the thermostat down there. So I've took a few pictures so we can see how it goes back together. Right, sadly we've got the drum out, and basically it doesn't screw or unscrew or unbolt apart. It's sealed, so what I'm gonna have to do is cut through as best as I can, and then screw it and silicone seal it back together. So it's going to be a long process this, but we'll get there. I'll show you where I'm cutting. You can see through, see that gap there? That's where I've cut basically, and obviously I've got to make that as clean as possible, a nice clean cut, because then that's going to have to be screwed and sealed back together. Okay, that took some cutting through, but with a new hacksaw blade, and I give it a help with the mini grinder with a cutting disc in. Got quite a bit done with that, but it did start to melt it rather than cutting it. But new hacksaw blade, and we got there. Bit of a chew, but that's certainly what I wanted to achieve. Got a nice clean cut. Once that's cleaned up both sides, that should go back well. And I don't know whether I mentioned before, but that is a good tip, is that drill your holes where you're going to bolt it back together before you cut it apart. That way you know it's going to match up nicely. So that's a good bit done, is that? Right, we're now going to take that pulley wheel off. Looks like it's got a Torx head on. Apparently we undo that and knock it out with a bit of wood and hammer. So let's have a go. Right, let's give it a shot, see if we can get it out. wanted. As you can see, it's a bit grotty in there. Got the heater element there, look. I'm going to take that out and get it soaked in some descaler. Get that rubber seal out. Knock the bearing out at the bottom. Turn it over and knock this bearing out, which is underneath this seal, this way. Right, so we've got to get this seal out. That's what we wanted. Right, let's see if we can get it out. It's pretty tight. Bingo. Right, that bearing at the bottom of there is proving to be quite tight, so I've just laid it actually flat on the floor, and I think I've got it loose, so we'll give it a final couple of cracks, and I reckon we should get it. Got it. Okay, so that's both bearings out of there, so that's good. So we're going to give it a nice clean up now. Let's see what we've got out. Well, there's a larger bearing. That's the one that was making the noise. Water had got into it, seized it up, and that's the smaller one. That looks okay actually, but we'll be replacing it anyway. And that is the seal, which I suppose after a matter of time is going to let water through and make that one get corroded and cause the noise. So let's get cleaned up. Right, we've got our new bearings and the seal, so let's set about fitting these. Right, we're just going to put a bit of lubrication in, a bit of grease, just to give it a helping hand to get it in, because I wouldn't like to sort of like get it so far in and struggle, so put a bit of grease in there, and that should help us drive it in. Okay, just going to tap it in nicely, work our way around, a bit of wood, just to protect it. Looks like it's in at that. We've actually not got it far enough in, so I'm just going to use this old bearing to see if I can get it in a bit further. Okay, we've got the bearing seated nicely. So yeah, at first I thought it should be proud, just flush should I say, but no, It has to go down about 10mm really, but we've got it down there. Right, we're now just going to tap in the bearing seal, so that shouldn't take any knocking in, shouldn't it? Bit of wood obviously, just to save damaging it. So it's gone in nice. So yeah, obviously the bearing has to go quite a way down for that for the seal to go flush, which is what we have done. Right, we've got the heater element out. I'm going to try soaking this in some descaler and see what it comes out like. Right, we've got the heater element soaking now in the descaler. I'll just put it in a bag in that jug just to hold it, and we'll see where it's see how it is overnight. Okay, that's had a good few days soaking in the descaler, and I'll just give it a clean off with a bit of emery cloth. So yeah, it's as good as a new one now, is that? Right, we're now going to put the thermostat back into here, bolt it in position. Okay, we've got that in. Now I just had to put a bit of washing up liquid just on the rubber seal, just to get it in. It's a little bit tight, but a little bit of washing up liquid has got it in nicely. And obviously get it into that clip there. That clip just holds it in position, and it's just a case of tightening the nut up. Then that expands the rubber seal as it's all, it nips it together, creates a seal. Okay, same again. We're just going to put a bit of grease in there just to get this bearing in straight forward. Just to help it get it in there easier. Okay, we're just going to give it tap in. That's it, I think. Right, well, I've got the pulley wheel back on. Just give it a tighten up. That sounds a bit smoother. Okay, we're just going to offer up the other half just to see how we look before we actually get some glue on it. Make sure it's a good fit. Can't see that being a problem. Get some glue on it and get it nipped up. Okay, we're now going to get a bead of glue all the way around, then we'll get it stuck together. Hopefully. Right, we're glued and screwed together. It's the first time I've used this Gorilla Glue. We're back in the kitchen now. A little bit easier to, a bit more room to get this drum back into the machine, and various other bits and pieces, the motor, the counterbalance weights, soap dispenser, drawer, etc. So let's have a go at getting it back together. Right, we're just trying to get the drum in. We're going from the top, and I've found it a little bit easier laying it on its side. I think it's going to go in easier like this. That's it. We've just connected these like shock absorbers, which holds it in place, one at each side at the bottom, and we'll get the waste connected up to the pump and get the counterbalancers on each side, and get the heater element connected up, motor on, belt. So yeah, we're getting there. Right, we've got the counterbalance on underneath. We've got it wired up to the motor, and the support arms, we've got them connected up. Just putting the belt on now. That looks alright. Yeah, we're about finished, I think, underneath here. So yeah, we've got the suspension, basically. That's what they are. Supports the drum. Counterbalance on. Got the sump drain on. Onto the motor. Wired up. Connected to the motor. Wires to the heater element. Now obviously I took pictures just to make sure I've got them wires the right way around. So we'll tip it on its tip it the right way up now. We're about done underneath here, I think. Okay, I'm just going to give you a tip. Can you see that metal spring there? That holds the rubber seal to the drum. Now that is quite awkward to get on, to say the least. Now I've found it easier to lay it down, and basically you've just got to stretch as hard as you can to get it on. Get it on at the bottom first, round the bottom first, and then just pull it round the top. It does take some doing, but I found it easier to lay it down to get that to get the inner spring on. Took a bit of doing, but we got it there. Yeah. We're going to put the outer cable on now, and if you're not so sure what that looks like when you're taking it off, it is a bit awkward. So what you're looking for on this model anyway is wire all the way around and a spring. So you're looking on here somewhere for a spring. Get the screwdriver behind the spring and just prise it off, and basically it's a reverse process to get it back on. We can see that. Okay, we're now going to put the soap dispenser back, and the bottom lock there, that connects to that rubber pipe. Underneath there you've got two outlets, they connect to them too, so just a case of pushing that back together, and a couple of screws holding that to the front. Right, we're going to put the counterbalance weight back on the top. Right, today is the big day to see whether we're sealed on the washing machine when we get it running. Fingers crossed. But so one job we've got to do. Well, that's glued overnight as that. That's the vacuum switch, which I now realise what it actually does. Pipe comes from there to the drum, and when the drum's filling with water, it pushes pressure into there, and it switches the washing machine off. So basically, it's a cut-off valve. Basically, once you get enough water in it, vacuum or pressure into there switches a micro switch, I dare say, and stops the washer from overfilling. So I dare say if your washer's filling all the time and overflowing, possibly it could be that what's defective. So we'll get that fitted, and we're good to go. We also need to adapt this, look, because we're running it outside. I'm going to cut that off and connect a hose pipe to it, just so that we can get cold water supply to the washer. Right, we've got the pressure switch connected up. So all there is left to do now is pop the top back on. We've got the hose pipe adapted to get a cold water feed. So let's get it connected up. Right, we'll have some washing in it. See what we get. Nice clean draw. Press the old start button. Well, that's a promising sound. Sounds like we're filling up. Is it going to turn? Still filling up by the sounds. No obvious signs of leakage up to now anyway. Which is good. Right, I'm just going to pause this a minute because it's filling up. It's a bit boring at the moment. Right, one thing that I failed to do, the water outlet, where it comes out of the waste basically. I just had that laid on the ground, so it wasn't getting a chance to fill up. Basically, it was just coming straight out of there. So whenever you're testing, it must be at a height, because obviously when it's in situ, it's at that height when it's coming out. I just connected it on there for now, but seems to be running well up to now. Well, all seems to be fine. We're about 20 minutes into the cycle. We've got 2 hours left, so considerable amount of time. But we're still checking, making sure we've no leaks and what have you. And all seems to be good at the moment. Obviously we're checking here as well because we've had all the seal off, door seal and that, so there's no problem with water there, so that's good. No leakage from the door. Well, the pump seems to be working okay. Draining out nicely, is that. We're now entering the drain and rinse cycle, I dare say, and yeah, that bearing is pretty much silent as we are at the moment. Vast improvement to what it was. Let's see what we're like once we pick up a bit of speed. Picking up speed now. No obvious problems. Normal noise basically. So looking good. Right, we're now entering quite a high speed. Still no problems. Amazing difference new bearings have made. Picking up speed now. About 20 minutes left on the cycle, so no issues whatsoever. So we've completed it, and the washing's come out. Smells nice and clean, looks nice and clean. So yeah, so that's a good job done. All I can say is if you want to have a go at repairing something, save yourself a few quid, why not have a go? You've nothing to lose if you're throwing the item away. That's going to now go to a good home, and can guarantee them that they're not going to have any problems really. New bearings, nice clean out, heater element cleaned off, pump cleaned out, so yeah, I think that's probably got another 10 years worth of life in it now. So all I can say is thanks for watching. Cheers.